get started in about 3 minutes here. Let's get started in about 3 minutes. What you're actually watching is actually our video reel. So these are some of our actual clients from our production studio. We do have a full-service production studio located in Atlanta. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but these are all real clients, and this is all real production that we've done for some of our clients.
This is right now. This is social media. So like para ti, we're We're going to go ahead and get started so we can be respectful of everyone's time this afternoon. My name is Lorenzo Johnson. I'm one of the partners and owners at Sociallian. Sociallian is a full-service social media agency that's located in Atlanta, Georgia. We also have offices in Birmingham, Alabama. We're going to be opening up our third office in Los Angeles here in the upcoming months. So just a couple things about us. We are one of the nation's only 100% socially focused agency. So that's something that we're very proud of. And then just a few things about us. Very proud of the work that our team has done and the growth that we've had over the past couple of years. So we've won a few awards that are very proud to us, including the #1 social media agency in the United States. We were also just recently awarded Atlanta's Pacesetter Award as Atlanta's 13th fastest growing company in the city of Atlanta. So we're doing a number of different things, and we also just surpassed about 70 employees last week as well. So I share these types of things not to brag, but to actually talk about how what we're going to be talking about today are strategies that we've actually executed ourselves very successfully, and also strategies that we execute on behalf of our clients very successfully. Just a little bit more background about us. We do hold major agency partnerships with both major and minor social media platforms. So we are partners with not only Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We are one of TikTok's first 300 international agency partners. We're also major partners of minor social media channels such as Reddit, Medium, and different things like that. We've worked with hundreds of clients. Our typical bread and butter are larger clients, typically in the Fortune 500 or larger space. However, we do have a division that's called social selling that focuses using LinkedIn primarily as a platform, and a lot of those services are geared more towards business to business, small entrepreneurs, and different things like that. Currently, our book of business is about 65% B2C, and then about 35% from a B2B perspective right there. So we do consider that pretty diversified. And so I mentioned that to say that everyone in this audience is probably going to be one or both. And I've really tried to create content for us that's applicable whether you're in the business-to-business space or if you're in the B2C space, okay? Even if it's on LinkedIn. And that's one thing that I would really want to convey to everyone here is that LinkedIn is much more easily identifiable as a business-to-business platform. But please, if you are in the B2C space, do not ignore this platform. Strategically, there are some awesome use cases for LinkedIn from the B2C space, okay? Today, just to make sure that everyone is in the right spot, we're going to be talking about what is social selling. What is social selling? And we're going to be talking about what social selling is in regards to 3 aspects of your business. How do you social sell as an individual or as a sales rep in an organization? How is your operations team social selling on behalf of an organization? And then how should your marketing team also be implementing things to social sell as well? And that's the place that we want to start with again. What is social selling? Social is not a place for a hard sell. It's a place to build trust and credibility. And that's the really important concept that I want to start off this masterclass with, because that's one of the first things that people miss. People think that the idea behind social selling is to find someone and get them to buy. And that is not the case. The idea is to nurture them. So we've come up with a definition of social selling that I'd like to share with you today. Social selling is the process of developing relationships as part of the sales process through social media. It is the art of using social media to find, connect with, understand, and nurture sales prospects. It's the modern way to develop meaningful relationships with potential customers, so you're the first person or brand a prospect thinks of when they're ready to buy. I want you all to note that in that definition, you don't see anything about conversions, and that's important. Conversions are what are supposed to happen if you successfully socially sell, which means that if you do these things, conversions will naturally happen. But your social selling strategy should literally align behind how are you going to nurture your prospects, okay? So again, there are 8 key points that I want you all to be thinking about when we're talking about what is social selling and how do we build a social selling strategy from a company. The most important thing is it must be strategic. It must be strategic. Again, you should be thinking about all of the audiences that you have segmented, and do you have the appropriate content to engage with them? Again, how are you going to find and connect with prospects? How are your sales reps for your organization going to establish themselves as an industry expert? How is your marketing team going to leverage your current customer relationships? That's an aspect of social selling that a lot of companies miss the ball on that we're going to talk about today, of how an effective social selling strategy is actually going to increase your company's retention rate. How can you earn referrals, recommendations, endorsements? What we talk about taking advantage of free media. How do you keep your leads warm? How do you stay top of mind? And how do you engage? These are the elements that, again, from an individual, from an operations, and from a marketing team standpoint, all of these elements should be considered when building your company's social selling strategy. So, what is social selling for? It's for opening up the door, showing your prospect value, building rapport, creating trust, providing relevant info. And what is it not? It is not the place to go in for the hard sell. I cannot emphasize that enough. It is not the place to go in for the hard sell. It is not the place to immediately get on a call. It is not the place to try to convince someone right after you connect with them that you've done research on their business. Because I'm going to let you in on a secret. No one really thinks that you actually research their business when you say that. Okay, guys? So again, how are we taking these things into consideration? Why social selling? Again, we've talked about a lot of emotional things, but the logic behind it. This past year, LinkedIn surpassed 600 million users. 600 million users. And 31% of B2B professionals on LinkedIn said that social selling allowed them to build deeper relationships with that client. So how can it benefit? If it's important, I'm going to ask a couple questions for us. Is it important for anyone in this room to be considered a thought leader in their industry? Raise your hand. Okay. Generating warm leads. Staying top of mind with your prospects, is that important for anyone? Is it important to have a pipeline for Q3 and Q4 already that you've established? Gaining insights. These are the things that you can benefit from an effective social selling strategy from a company perspective. A few more stats. 76% of buyers are ready to have a social media conversation. 31% of B2B professionals say that social selling has allowed them to build deeper relationships. And 62% of B2B buyers respond to salespeople who connect with them and share insights. One thing we just talked about in our last class is, have you earned the right to ask for the business from your prospect? And that's the same question I'm going to pose your company. Has your company earned the right to ask for business from a prospect? How do you know if you have? Well, the question we always tell you to ask yourself is, have you truly provided value and a resource for your prospects? And if not, it's time to take a step back and reevaluate your social selling strategy. It all starts with listening. If you don't find these opportunities, being able to execute on those opportunities is absolutely irrelevant. So, here's a few tactics that you guys should be using daily. I'm going to quickly go through these because I have a few other things that I want to get to, but these are really important. Number one, do you have an optimized profile picture? Some of these things sound basic, but it would actually surprise you how many people and how many companies, their brand does not represent their culture in any way, shape, or form. Having a cover photo on your individual sales page. One point that I want to bring up about your cover photo is this is an excellent opportunity for you to personalize your brand. Everyone has an idea of LinkedIn being such a business to business, such a heavy platform in that space, and sometimes we forget that we are people and people want to connect with other people. Your cover photo is a great place to highlight your hobbies, your passions, your interests, those other things that show a whole nother side of your personality. And people care about that, you guys. Optimizing your headline. One of the big initiatives that LinkedIn is rolling out is everything on your profile is going to be SEO searchable now moving forward. Why is that important? You guys have probably seen a trend and uptick in people who have "we're hiring" in their LinkedIn headline. Why is that? All of those things are searchable. All of those things are searchable. So we encourage you to avoid a boring headline and consider the fact that you can put your products in your keywords, the solution to the problem that your company helps solve. That's the type of information that should be in your headline, because that's the type of stuff your prospects are going to be searching. Optimizing your about section. Again, this is another place LinkedIn is putting an effort and a focus in. This is a place to not do what we call keyword stuff, but is absolutely a place to make sure you are highlighting your place in the market. Again, the value, your propositions that you provide. And again, services and products, because these things, again, I can't reiterate this enough, will be searchable by people on LinkedIn moving forward. Optimizing your LinkedIn URL. Are you guys aware that you don't have to have a LinkedIn URL that's linkedin.com/123xgh, and you can actually personalize it for your business? These things are important when establishing a consistent brand and truly social selling. Your URL should be optimized for your business. And then last but not least, making sure that all of your employees are showcased their experience, their achievements, and very simply, make sure your employees are actually connected to your company page. It's surprising how many employees aren't actually connected to their employees' pages. 7 things that your salespeople should be doing on a daily basis. They should be adding relevant context to their network. They should be conducting what's called a viewing profile strategy. And this is important because a lot of people don't know this. Did you guys know that every time you view a person's profile on LinkedIn, LinkedIn actually sends that person a notification? So that's one of the reasons why when you tell somebody that you've done research on their business, they can tell that you haven't, because they actually would have gotten a notification if you ever looked at their page. So these things are important. These features are important because you can also take advantage of that by making sure you view someone's page before you ever reach out to them, because now it's starting to make strategic more sense. Engaging on posts. This is key. A lot of people are really missing out on the algorithm by just engaging through direct messages. In order to truly ride the algorithm wave, you have to be engaging with your network. You have to be creating content that your network also engages with, and vice versa. Endorsing people. Again, I'm talking about how we're going to drop in a few gems of how this should be a part of your retention strategy for your customers. You should be endorsing the relevant customers on LinkedIn for the skills and things that they provide. As crazy as that sounds, these strategies really actually help build your rapport with your current clients. And then again, making sure that you're sharing valuable content. And we're going to get into that because another common misstep that companies have is they expect their salespeople to also be the curation people for their content. And that's just an inappropriate allocation of resources. For everyone who has a marketing and operations team, it is the responsibility of that department to arm all of their salespeople with the appropriate content and collateral that they need to be successful. And we're going to get into that moving forward here. I want to spend just a couple seconds talking about a premium feature on LinkedIn called LinkedIn Sales Navigator that is actually game-changing for businesses. Very simply, what LinkedIn Sales Navigator allows you to do is actually create very customized lists, and I'm going to get into some of the details because people don't know that you can do it. Did you guys know that if you wanted to find every single company that uses HubSpot as a CRM, LinkedIn allows you to search things like that? You can search the most niche things. People don't understand that. You can search companies that lost all of their salespeople last year during the pandemic if you're a marketing company. So, LinkedIn Sales Navigator is a premium feature that allows you to create highly targeted, highly niche and specific lead lists that also build upon themselves. So the reason we encourage your sales team to use this is because once you have an idea, a clear idea of what we call your client profile, you can actually build that in LinkedIn, and LinkedIn will automatically add leads for your salespeople that fit your current existing client profile. Again, it's helping your salespeople work harder, not smarter, or work smarter, not harder, you guys. Sorry about that. And then a few things. And this is really cool. LinkedIn is also allowing your company to be much more efficient. So for everyone who has a CRM, LinkedIn now allows you to automatically integrate your CRM to LinkedIn. So for everybody who uses HubSpot, Zoho, Salesforce, Infusionsoft, you can connect that to your company and all of your individual salespeople's LinkedIn. And every time you have a new connection, you can automatically upload them into your current existing email list, for example. So these are the things that we're talking about. If you truly want to have a social selling strategy, your marketing and your operations and your salespeople all have to be in sync, and it needs to be a seamless approach. Okay, does that make sense? And then the other thing that's really important is we're talking about trust, and we're talking about how do we separate yourself and how do we personalize it. One of the things we talked about in our last class a lot is that there is a rise in automation in LinkedIn, and so it's so important to personalize and separate yourself and let people know that you are a real person. One of the things that we've seen is that people who have what's called a premium profile identifier on their profile, they're actually seen as what's considered more credible and more relevant in the space. So again, that's important when we talk about some of these premium features for your salespeople, if it's important for them and your company to be a thought leader or expert in their particular space. The other reason this is important is because there's certain features of LinkedIn that are being overused and that we want you guys to be aware of, and Sales Navigator helps you skirt around those. I'll give you one example that I want to talk about, and it's the use of InMail. InMail used to be a really cool feature that marketing departments and salespeople use. However, now it's automatically associated with being sold. Every time you get an InMail message now, you automatically think that somebody's trying to sell you something. It's hard not to think that anymore. So now what Sales Navigator actually allows you to do is actually directly message them without going the InMail route. So now people don't have that initial message that comes, and it just comes off as being much more trustworthy and much more authentic. And authenticity is the name of the game on LinkedIn, okay? So there's a few things that I'm going to encourage you guys to do and encourage your salespeople to do. And then again, it is building lead lists that is based upon your current client profile. Number two, use using your teammates to request appropriate introductions and extend their network. It's a concept that we won't get into here, but it's called employee advocacy. How are you allowing your employees to advocate for each other and to advocate for your company? The other really cool thing about LinkedIn Sales Navigator when you build it as a team is it allows all of your insights and all of your analytics to be housed in one place. So now as an individual, not only can you optimize your campaign, your marketing department can actually look at the analytics of every single team member's report and actually say, based upon trends we're seeing, how can we curate and disseminate the appropriate content so that our salespeople can start to be successful. I'm going to quickly spend some time talking about why social selling from the standpoint of your marketing and your operations team, and why it's truly important to really make sure that you have a strategy moving forward with it. And again, when we talk about who owns social selling, remember, it's sales and marketing and admin and operations. If everybody is not in sync, you are not truly social selling. So there's a couple of things I want to be very transparent with this process. And it's that social selling is going to cause disruption in your organization. You are going to have to take a step back and make sure that your flows, your development, your processes all work for this. Social selling is not an overnight achievement. It is not an overnight initiative that you can accomplish. But it's important because not being ahead of the curve is what we consider the death of companies and innovation. Networking will never be what networking used to be, you guys. So how are your salespeople and how are you going to help your company network in the space? Because that face-to-face, we just don't have that anymore. So this is in social selling, and using LinkedIn as a platform is going to help your people truly, truly get ahead of the curve. And then the other thing that's important that you guys got to keep in mind is that traditional methods are not effective. One of our bread and butter industries is the insurance industry when it comes to LinkedIn. Do you guys know that there are insurance agents that make 300 phone calls a day? Could you imagine making 300 phone calls a day for 6 days a week in order to hit your sales quota? That just does not sound sustainable. So as a leadership team and as a marketing and operations team, you have to be considering how the game is changing and how traditional methods are not being as effective. So when you're charging your sales reps to get out here and to hit these quotas, you have to be adjusting the strategies that you're giving them to help them be effective, you guys. And again, a few things. So how can you start to really operationalize social selling? And there's a few key pieces that you guys have to understand. And it's being authentic. You truly need to understand who your brand is and be comfortable who your brand is. Everyone will not like it, and you have to accept the fact that your brand is not for everyone. But the great thing is that once you hone in on your brand and you get your salespeople to hone in on that brand, everybody can really start to focus on that ideal and that niche audience. And now your marketing starts to become efficient and not wasteful. Make sure that all of your sales team's profiles are continuously and completely optimized, you guys. Make sure that they're using the features to their advantage. You know, in our last class, we talked about what's called creator mode and how LinkedIn is really allowing all of your salespeople to become thought leaders in their own respective places. And then being efficient and effective. So one of the things we talked about earlier is what's called employee advocacy. And that's important because employee advocacy programs allow your sales team to disseminate marketing in a very easily, so sorry. Sorry, that kind of threw me off there. Employee advocacy programs allow your teams to disseminate content extremely easy in an efficient place. So what do we mean by that? You need to create an article or a platform that allows all of your salespeople to quickly grab it and share it and go on about their day. Because your salespeople should be on calls, your salespeople should be moving the business forward that way. They should not be struggling to create a caption for a post. So again, how can you make your collateral, your sharing, your employee advocacy be as efficient and as effective as possible? Social selling is a culture thing. It's a culture thing. It's not just a quick initiative thing. So there's a few tips that I want to encourage you guys to really research before you get into this. The first one is, how many people have ever heard of what's called your social selling index score on LinkedIn? Your SSI score on LinkedIn. Well, this is good. So for everybody who thinks they're a thought leader and everybody thinks that they're engaging with people, LinkedIn actually gives your profile a grade. If you would like to know what your profile is graded, please come see my team after, and we can actually show you what LinkedIn grades your profile. The reason that is important is because LinkedIn is going to break down and grade your profile in about 5 or 6 categories. It actually literally tells you how you should be improving if you want to really be more of a thought leader. So again, the first step in that is understanding what is the baseline for your organization. What is the social selling score for your organization? And it'll start to give you the exact plan that you need to follow if social selling is going to be a strategy that your company should be moving forward with. Profile optimization. An intro to Sales Navigator, like we talked about, every single employee should have their profile optimized for you guys. You have to remember that every single employee is an extension of your brand. You have to remember. And then learning, optimizing, duplicating, and repeating. LinkedIn gives you guys analytics for everything. Engagement, awareness, reach, how long somebody's read or followed a video, how many links that have been clicked in an article that you posted. Those reports should be reviewed, and your team should be optimizing and pivoting your plan consistently based upon the results and feedback that you're getting. From a marketing standpoint, I wanted to give you guys 4 things that your marketing team should be doing when they're reviewing and looking at these analytics from your team. The first thing is your marketing team should be considering what content is already curated that can just be repurposed. Again, working smarter, not harder. The second thing is your marketing team should have the most firm idea of who your ideal client is. Your marketing team should do research on their profiles, and your marketing team should have a very firm grasp on the type of content that your prospects are looking for. Starting the dialogue. How are you using groups? How are you doing what's called community management? That's not on your salespeople. But how is your marketing team and your operations team speaking with your prospects from your company's perspective? And then last but not least, evaluating honestly. When you ask your people for feedback, take it into consideration. When you ask people for feedback, take it actually into consideration, you guys. Empower your sales force to have intelligent conversations. We teach a concept that talks about making sure that everybody's on the right seat on the bus. This social selling requires that everybody is in the right seat in that bus. It requires that marketing understands their place, operations understands their place, and that your salespeople understand their place. And make your sales organization a partner on everything. And that's the next thing that we're going to really start to get into is how can you create templates? How can you allow content managers actually from inside your team so that all of the work isn't always necessarily put on your marketing and operations team? Are there admins that you can actually, that are called co-content creators on your page? All of these features, if you are going to be social selling, your marketing team needs to be very aware of all of these features and capabilities and how your team is going to leverage them. Make sure you have tracking conversions. That's something that we also do not see enough of. Did you guys know that anytime you place any PowerPoint or any document or any collateral on LinkedIn, you can institute what are called smart links, and you can track every single link in any piece of collateral that you've ever put on LinkedIn? It's important. Tracking, smart tracking. The last section we're going to talk about is from a company page strategy. What are the things that we absolutely need to be making sure that we're doing from a company page? Because one of the things that's going to be very clear is that it's different than what your salespeople. It's actually different than what should be on your executives page. So a few things that we should have. Number 1, make sure again that all of your employees are officially connected to your company page. Number 2, there is a feature called LinkedIn Teammates. LinkedIn Teammates. What LinkedIn Teammates actually allows you to do is, once all of your teammates are actually connected, or once all of your employees are actually connected to your company page, anytime anybody in your company posts an article or posts anything, all of your team members will actually get a notification. So again, now they're easily able to go in, share that post without having to go through a bunch of hoops, because we want to make it efficient. Making some of your employees content admins. Now again, this needs to be strategic, and this needs